Yes, guys. We're just mixing it up today. Trying to give you the sweet sound of my sultry voice. You were not ready
for that. I wasn't prepared for that.
I'm your host, Justin, better known as the Texas Cleat Collector. And I am here, as always, with my fellow co-host, Colby. Colby, my friend, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Came off a very busy soccer weekend. We finished club with the boys, had a double header, and it was intense, man.
Really?
Dude, I'm so much more like invested in my son than in games that I play.
For
like
sure.
my stomach was like, are they going to they ended up tying, but it was back and forth, and this club was good, and I was like,
oh yeah.
What's going to happen?
It's definitely like the hype is real moments. Like when they're just running,
for
you like
sure.
get so frantic and into it.
For sure. It's like I bet my whole life on my little mini me out there. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just like you put all this stuff in. I don't know, but it's legit, dude.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you had a good time. What's been going on this week, man? Anything else been new, interesting, exciting?
Yeah, sort of exciting. Our friend Mark GCFC, I bought some Tampa Legend 9s from him, so those should be coming in by Friday, I believe. So Mark, if you're watching, thank you, bro. Appreciate that.
Yep, that is awesome. Shout out, Mark. For me, they're all the way on the other side of the room, and I'm such a dunce for forgetting them. But our friend Ricky actually sent me a pair of Japan Blue Manias. So now I've got two officially in hand. I just need the pearls. I'll be like Thanos, bro. Like the world's just going to explode. It's just going to explode, and it's just going to be me and the Manias, and that's it. That's all it's left.
Yeah, dude, I hate to tell you, but like our buddy Mike already beat you to it. He beat you to it like a month ago.
He did, but he hates the size that he got. He got 8.5, and he's like, they're way too big.
Oh,
So
man.
I got one up on him.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, because if you get the right size, you get that snap.
For sure. And then today I filmed the Mania review. It's almost done editing. By the time the podcast goes out, it should already be out. So let me know what you guys think if you've watched it. And if I was not lazy and put it out.
Yeah, the Manias are kind of a weird remake where they keep popping up. Like I feel like most remakes where they come out day like the cruise boots, they came out day of, and they were gone by the next day. And Soccer.com sold them all to the East Coast because by the time you got to Texas, there was no inventory left.
Yep.
But with the Manias, I feel like I keep hearing rumblings. They'll be like, "Hey, there's some pairs still here at Dick's," or they'll restock at like Soccer Village, or we got soccer, and that'll pop up on Instagram. So it's kind of weird. I don't know why they're getting a little bit delayed, some of these, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
if you're wanting one, still got it.
I was gonna say sometimes those kind of delayed releases are nice because if you missed out, you might have the chance to get them later on. So yeah, for sure. But all right, Colby, let's get into this. We've got a few topics that you want to talk about today. We've got questions, we've got comments, we've got answers. Okay, but the question that I want to start out for you with today is, what is your jersey pick of the week?
Dude, I went old school for this jersey pick. Like, not super old school, but pretty old school.
Okay.
Like, do you remember like 2004, 2005 when they were really promoting the T90s? I think it was like T93s. And on the jersey, they had like the circles and they had the numbers inside.
Yeah.
Like that classic like USA kit from like 04, 05, the home and away. It has like the crest in the middle, which is a little dorky to me, but beneath that, like you have like the player number, and then on the back, and like it looks super sick, dude. I think they did that with the Brazil jerseys too.
They did.
It's just and I think those are coming back next year, which I'm pretty excited.
That was cool. This is a good template because this is also the one that they used for Portugal in the 2004 Euros, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and this is the one where it's like maroon and the Ronaldo wink and all those great priceless moments. So yeah, great pick, Colby. So USA
Thanks,
jersey. That's not the great part, but the template, wonderful.
The template, yeah. I mean the template, yeah. You copy pasted over a few, like you said, Portugal and Brazil and USA. I just went with the USA one.
Very nice. I also went for a retro kit. I say retro. That's so sad. But this jersey,
I know it feels
this
weird.
Jersey's 18 years old. It's about to be freaking 20 years old. But I went with the 2006 England home kit. It's the white one with like the red cross on the corner.
Yeah.
I went for Beckham's last jersey with England before he officially retired as captain. I love this jersey. I think it's a phenomenal looking jersey.
Was that where he had the faux hawk haircut and everything?
Yeah.
Too?
This is like
Man,
the
classic.
This is when like pinnacle Becks era. Everybody wanted to be him. So yeah, I just think it was a classic looking jersey. The red one was also dope because that's the one that had the gold numbers. If you remember that one too, solid red, just gold numbers. But yes, iconic England jersey. Love it. Love Becks. Shout out Becks. I'm into Becks. I feel like I'm in my Becks era right now. I'm changing my hair constantly. I'm rocking some manias. So I'm just like in this weird Becks era, and I just need to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's legit, man.
When I
I was
gonna say when I shaved my head, I was in my 2007 Britney era, and now that my hair's grown in like 3 days later, I'm in my Becks era again.
My Britney era.
Yeah, I was in my Britney era. Now I'm in my Becks. And for anybody who's wondering, yes, I shaved my head, and I'll be completely honest. I was just having like a midlife crisis moment, and I had just came off watching a Roy Keane comp, and he had his skinhead in one of the videos, and I looked at my coworker, and I was like, I think I'm gonna shave my head, and he was like, "Do it," and I was like, "Okay," and I just like straight down the center. So, little freak out moment. I'm good. Hair's gone. It'll grow back. You've seen it all grow.
You're just trying to show off that hairline,
dude,
man. We are so tired
natural,
of you.
Natural, guys. This is
It's incredible.
Even my mother-in-law was like, "Oh, you got it lined up so nice." I was like, "No, that's normal." She was like,
That's legit, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
you.
like going to Turkey without going to Turkey, dude. It's perfect. That's like most solid. Most solid got that filled in over the summer. He looks good.
He needed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did good.
Let's get into the boots. That's what the people are here for. So, what do you want to start off with this week? We want to talk.
Well, you were just talking about the man.
Okay.
David Beckham.
Okay.
All right. We talked about this last week, right? Where we weren't sure. Okay, like we have these like Adidas. Are they lifestyle boots? We have the trefoil logo on the bottom. They've kind of come out again on footy headlines, right? So we're confirming possible David Beckham.
Okay.
The other thing we've confirmed is that the tongue is going to be kangaroo leather.
We've seen that.
And then on the boot, it says, and this is still speculative at this point, but they're going to be kangaroo leather in the touch areas, quote unquote.
I still want to know what that means. What does that mean? Because I touched the ball with a lot of spots with my foot.
It sounds dirty, dude. Like I don't want to call anything like my touch areas, but it sounds like it's like going to be probably the toe box. I'm guessing, kind of like that Mizuno style, like Neo, where it's the toe box. Maybe they've got like synthetic parts, Hybrid Touch 2.0 at the midfoot. I think it would have been easier just to copy paste your Fusion Skin model that you used with the Rotero, but
yeah, I don't know. I think that is a weird leak, and I think it's a weird way to word it in the touch area.
Right.
And again, with the Predator elements, part of me is wondering, like, are they going to do? Okay, this is when I think touch area. This is what I'm wondering. Are they going to like do leather from here, right? So like all of this, and then basically to like here,
right?
Is that touch area? Is that what we?
Yeah,
consider?
I mean, that's kind of like that classic kangaroo leather style that they do on a lot of like that was that's essentially like Tiempo Legend 9, where they get that entire midfoot section that you kind of go out to the lateral side a bit and then you reinforce it. So I mean, it just depends on what you're talking about, right? Like, I feel like if it was just isolated to the toe box, you'd say toe box. But if you're saying touch area, like you said,
yeah,
I mean, that's a big deal, man. Like, when was the last time Adidas actually remade a boot with K leather? Because the Cruise boots were calfskin. The Precision Pluses were calfskin.
Yeah. So what remake was before that? Those Precisions. The LZ is Hybrid Touch. So is it the Zidans? The gold Zidans?
The gold Zidans?
Are those?
What was that, 2021 maybe? 2020?
I'm trying to think of what else there was. There has to be another remake that I'm totally blanking on.
I mean, what I'm essentially getting at, I mean, if somebody's going to put it in the comments, but it's been a long time for K leather.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I just have so much doubt. Because even the Rotero is not K leather.
Right, exactly.
So maybe they just mean leather and it'll be calf leather.
Yeah, or they could do something a little goofy where like the tongue is essentially K leather and then they use calf leather. That would be kind of a weird. It's like, hey, switch that up.
That would be
please.
terrible.
Yeah, that would be a weird. The whole boot is just kind of weird because it came out of nowhere. And at first you're thinking it's just a regular release, you know, because they did the same thing with the Bellingham boots. And we're all kind of talking about how these Bellingham boots, why aren't they selling? Is it pred fatigue? Our buddy James Boot Wizard did a whole video on this, on why he thinks the Bellingham boots haven't done as well, and he puts chapters in there. It's really good. Go check it out. But going back to the Beckham one, it's just kind of a weird release in general, because all of our heads were turned to the 25, and now we're just trying to basically analyze what could be the last 24 of the year.
Yeah, I mean that is the unfortunate part with these companies and kind of the nature of the business that we do, is we find leaks and we see things before they're supposed to come out, so we get ourselves hyped up for things, and Adidas like, you're not supposed to see that yet, like you're still supposed to focus on this. And so again, like the thing with this, well, I don't know, are we gonna call it the Beckham, this last gen Beckham Predator, whatever this thing is, okay? I think it's super cool that Adidas is doing something different on the last one, kind of a last hurrah. But again, the leaked images that we've seen is, I don't know who this is for.
Yeah, I can see that.
Is this supposed to be, like I said last week, like a collection boot, like the Spezial was? Like, is this their version of the Spezial? Because again, I just think I'm going to pretend that the leather is not on the actual boot. I'm going to say that the tongue is leather. Okay, that's going to be the thing. That's where I'm at with it. So if the tongue is leather, like, okay, like that's it. Right. And it's like, what am I supposed to do with that?
You're supposed to buy it, Justin. That's what you're supposed to do with that. You're supposed to say, wow.
I can't afford it anymore, man. I'm broke.
No, I think it is a little bit. Okay, don't give me. This is my thing. Is you can't just get away with the tongue. You can't slap leather on a tongue and say, "Man, good job, we did it." Like, you have to incorporate it in other areas of the boot. You have to complete it, essentially.
Yeah.
So like with the Rotero, the tongue's not leather on there, right? That's a synthetic tongue on a leather fusion skin.
It's a regular tongue on a fusion skin body. Yes.
Right. Okay. So it would just be weird. It would just be like, I don't know. I don't know what the intention would be if you weren't going to make any part of the upper leather. Like, say the whole thing's synthetic leather tongue. Like you said, like, who is that for? I don't know. But if you make the upper parts, some upper parts, even if it's just isolated the toe box, even if it's like toe box midfoot, whatever, like, that is definitely for a lot of people that have been, I guess, hankering for that for years now, essentially, since they haven't had K leather on a mainline boot in a long time.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. We can speculate about this until we're both blue in the face, and luckily the boot comes out soon. So one of us is bound to be right, or we might both be wrong. We don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I think the thing for me more than anything is, what a weird send off though. You know, it's cool that they're doing something different for the last one, but like, just what a weird one, like a leather tongue and maybe a leather toe box.
Yeah, it's kind of like the I feel like Adidas does really well, and they always kind of get to this, which it was a cool boot, the 99 leather, where it's like, this, it would be weird as if this boot didn't even come out at all. You know what I mean? Like, if they kind of build hype around it and then they say, I don't know about this, let's pull it and let's just throw the 25 out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this one's going to come out, because we've seen more, like, you usually don't get more leaks after the original if it's not going to come out, but it seems like, you know, we've got some more boots in hand. So
yeah,
this will definitely be coming.
I think that this one is just going to end up coming out, and I think it's going to have like a tracksuit with it, and it's going to be one of those kind of like complete the look kind of boots, and I think that's the whole point. Again, I just get such strong lifestyle that I'm almost like, you maybe should have just made it like a indoor, like a flat.
That would be amazing.
You know,
a flat or a turf.
Yeah,
could you imagine?
With just like the tongue, that would be cool. But
that would be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I'll be curious to see what these boots are. Who, if anybody, wears them. Yeah, and you know, after the Jude, I don't want to say fiasco, but with the Jude release, I think it'll sell just because it's David Beckham. If Beckham is attached to it like we think, it'll probably just sell because of that.
Definitely. Oh, man. Well, we'll find out, dude. We'll find out on the day. Let's talk about another few guys who have signature boots coming out.
Okay.
We've got the Erling Holland boots
Yep.
that we've kind of mentioned here before on the show. Kind of like
It's like a blue lava, right?
Yeah, it's like a blue lava. It's very, very interesting.
Okay.
So I want to say his last signature, wasn't it just like a kind of orangey pink?
It's like, yeah, it's supposed to be like the red, and it was supposed to be like the Norway boots, but everybody laughed because Norway didn't do anything internationally, so he wore them with City, and it's like that's the wrong blue for the wrong team.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we made a whole episode about this before. They're just the GX2 is not for me. It doesn't work with my foot, so. And plus, I'm a United fan. I'm not going to buy no City players' boots. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I can't condone that as well. I despise City. And then the Mo Salah, it's just a red and gold,
very Mo
boot for
Salah.
him. Very Mo Salah.
It just bums me out that they're going to release these with the Vivid Horizon.
Right.
They just kind of look like a tweaked. It's just it's so lazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of in the same vein of saying like the Bellingham boots are just the dark spark with the B on them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
It's just like I think also with the Bellingham boots, if they would have came out at a time when like something vastly different on the color wheel was out, I think they could have really succeeded. Like imagine if the Bellingham boots came out during the Euros, so everybody's wearing the blue and orange, and then Jude's got these black and gold boots on, and then like same thing for like Mo Salah. Like I'm trying to think of a colorway, but they've all been kind of bluish white and red.
Yeah, I think he peaked with his not in his play because he's an amazing player. He has not peaked yet. Well, he hasn't declined yet. He's still doing very well. But his Egyptian Knights, that crazy fast where it was like the purple. That
one was a cool one. But I just mean like for them to stick out. Like we've seen the leaked of those white and blue F50s that are coming out. I think that would be a good time to release the Mo Salah ones. Is with that pack. So it's kind of like this one guy has these like bright, like as much as I did not like the Heung-min Son colorway, I thought it was phenomenal because of the colors that it was, and when it came out, his boots like stuck out across anybody else that was wearing Crazy Fast at the time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like you should really have players do signatures when it's not anywhere in the color scheme at all, and maybe those would actually sell. That's a good point.
Exactly.
It's a really good point.
Because that's the whole point is you want this one person, like you're putting them on a pedestal, you want them to stick out. So it's like, when everybody's kind of wearing one end of the spectrum of colorways, give them the opposite.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you should, man. Every week I say it. I say you should go work for Adidas. But, they just won't hire you.
They won't.
They just want you to keep cutting hair.
They won't. They do. They want me to cut my own hair. And then the other leak that we just saw it last night, was the supposed Lamine Yamal. Did I say his name right? His signature F50s are coming out. They're like a dusty pink kind of color. The LY on the sole plate with a chrome pink sole plate. Kind of cool. Very different. Very unexpected for him and what I figured he might get. But hey, props to him for picking a colorway that will for sure stand out.
Yeah, exactly. And Adidas, man, what they have a player for Madrid and Barca, and they've got Trent over in England if he doesn't end up moving over to Madrid, which I hope he doesn't. Man, yeah, they're just solid across the board, dude.
They're crushing it, bro.
They got their young players, man.
They're crushing it. They've kind of foolproofed themselves right now, future-proofed them too. So, yeah, shout out to Adidas. Before I forget, because this is the hot topic of what just happened. What do you think about the whole Rodri Ballon d'Or win?
Dude, you're asking the wrong guy because I can't stand Rodri. It's not in the same category as Sergio Ramos. Sorry, Chris Rico. I know Chris Rico really likes Sergio Ramos and says that he didn't mean to dislocate Mo Salah's shoulder, back in the day. But Rodri's just kind of the same type of player where it's like somehow, some way, like he always gets like that last ditch goal from outside the box or does something. It's just I feel like Ballon d'Or players went from like these really like skillful, technical, like amazing dribbler, you know what I mean? And then somehow we dipped into like Rodri territory when Vinicius has won what did he win? He won the league last year. He won Champions League. And so it's just weird. And I've seen all of these things that have said, like, he wasn't even on the map for, like, City's best player. I think that went to Foden. And then there was something else about the Premier League where he wasn't even in the running for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is hard. Though, the thing that always comes down to it is I hate the Ballon d'Or discussion on tournament years because, like the year Luka Modric won it, it's because he had a great World Cup campaign. The Messi's most recent one when he won it was because he won the World Cup. Like, I don't like the years that it does it because it's like whoever wins that 99% of the time is gonna win the Ballon d'Or. You know what I mean? It trumps everything else.
I think Lewandowski had like this incredible year, but it happened to be the same year as the time didn't Messi win the Copa America in?
No, it might have been. I remember Lewandowski should have won it. I think it was the COVID year. And they canceled the award, and they made some other one. But it's like, yeah, like for me, like, okay, Messi won the World Cup. Woo. He got a whole bunch of penalties. Like, I don't care about that. But it's like that same year, Holland came to the Premier League, won the treble, was a freak of nature and broke like every record there is.
He broke, the goal record.
And it's like, and he didn't win it. And I'm just like, how?
Right.
So
the treble.
That's my thing. Yeah, like I agree with you. Like I miss those old Maverick-style players like Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, R9, Cristiano, even Messi. Like I will miss those kind of players that just kind of were freaks on the ball and could do amazing things. But at the point where we're at with football is everybody is so rigid and everybody wants to be Pep and do Pep system where you have to control every intricacy. And then it's like you look at there's no crazy attackers that are just blowing everybody out of the water. You know what I mean? Like head and shoulders above. And it's like then you look at Rodri, who is a DM, and you're like, well, he literally is like the DM. Like nobody's above Rodri in that position. So it's like it makes sense to an extent, but I'm just like, man, I'm so biased. I'm just like, man, I ain't giving Ballon d'Or to no goalie or defender or DM. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If for me to give it to a goalie, this is how unrealistic it is. If I was going to give it to a goalie, they would have to win either the World Cup or the Euros with no goals scored on them, and then they would also have to win a treble with no goals scored on them. Like if they kept a complete clean sheet on everything, I'd be like, okay, yeah, you can have it.
Yeah. Or they have to like run into the box, last ditch effort, like Allison score a header, like that would be legit.
But they'd have to do that every game win every game.
Yeah. Well, you for the Ballon d'Or, it's like you want to see like it's just some like you mentioned Ronaldinho or Ronaldo or Messi in his prime. Like it's just this like amazing, like no doubt that is like the best player on the pitch. Like you can't touch them.
Yeah.
And it's just weird now. Like because like even with your Erling Haaland example, it's like he is just a goal scoring machine, but it's not like he's dribbling with flair through like 8 guys. He's just always on the end of a ball. You know, it's weird now.
Yeah. And again, like the weird thing to me is like that wins games.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he like wins games for City. Like head and shoulder. I don't know. I think it's weird. I mean, mad shout to Rodri. He is an amazing player. He is an amazing DM. But it's just, again, it's one of those awards where I just don't think of a defensive-minded player when I think of Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. But he won the Euro, Justin. So I
don't care. Lamine Yamal had an amazing Euro. And don't forget about Cucurella. He also had a song. So
Cucurella, yeah. Give him something for that hair. One last thing on the Roger thing. They, I think didn't he tear his ACL, so maybe they should just give him the award to make him feel better. You know?
They did. Who knows?
Yeah,
as he hobbled up the stage. Okay, so we're talking about a number of players right now. We've shouted out a lot of names, and one thing that we've noticed is, and I want to ask you this is, what do you think about Nike basically cutting ties with so many different players, with so many different teams, and just kind of almost being like, all right, we're done with football now?
It is weird, man. They've ceded so much ground in the football world, and I don't exactly know where that comes from. I'm not sure if it's a monetary thing, which it probably is, because everything sort of runs on money. I don't know if it's, hey, we've been in this space for decades now, at the top. I mean, if you look at like what the lion's, and I'm sure it's still the lion's share of what players are wearing, like Nike's always got like the biggest slice of the pie there.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think the biggest player moving over, Neymar, when Puma took Neymar, I think Nike just kind of seeded a lot of players, because then you saw Jack Grealish leave, and you've seen multiple other athletes leave, and then they've seeded ground on even like Portugal is switching over to Puma, so they're giving up countries now. Liverpool's going over to Adidas. Man U had already made the switch to Adidas. I'm pretty sure Arsenal at one time. Well, they went from I think Nike to Puma to Adidas, but so it's like if you think about the big clubs in the Premier League that finished the highest, you're talking what now? Nike's got Chelsea and Tottenham,
Spurs. Yeah, I think that's it.
It's so weird. They've got Barcelona, but I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah,
they used to be such a big, like, they were Man U, Arsenal, Barca.
Yeah, it's weird that they kind of, I mean, in like basically with R9, in the 90s, like the late 90s, they're like, all right, we're going to dominate football. Like, we're going to be a mainstay in football. And so they tilled the ground. They did all this work, and they built and built and built and built. It's like they built this whole house, right? They built this house from the ground up. They laid the foundation. They built this house with their bare hands. They furnished it. Everything is exactly perfect. And Nike's like, okay, we're done now. And it's like, no, go live in the house. Like, enjoy the fruits of your labor. And they're just like,
right,
nah. They dominated. I think they dominate basketball for the most part,
for sure.
And then I know that they do a lot of sponsorship deals with American football players too. So it's just so weird to have such a massive stake in football and then just be like, nope, I don't want it anymore. Like, I got it, now I don't want it.
Right? Yeah, it's weird, man. And even on, I don't want to make this I'm gonna crap on Nike's boot quality part, because some boot, I mean, like the Vapor 16s, like this year, pretty good boot. Mm-hmm. GX2, other than the sole plate, Tiempo's crap. But even if you look at from the boot perspective, I remember back in like 2010, I was working at the computer lab in college, and I would spend most of my shift doing Nike ID customizing like Tiempo Legend 3s.
Yep.
Like, you could do like any color you wanted. You could make like the tongue, like you could do all these different color variations. And now you can't even customize Vapor 16s as of right now. I don't know if they're cutting, what is it called? It's not called Nike ID anymore. It's called like
Nike by you.
Yeah. So you can do GX2s with a high knit collar, but in the last edition of the Vapor, but are they completely done with that as well? I'm sure that doesn't bring in a ton of people.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it used to be a huge deal.
Yeah, well, and the weird thing about Nike by You is it's very time sensitive. So, like, they give you certain options, but then after a certain point, you can't get it anymore, which I've always thought is super weird. And, like, even with the graphics and stuff, they changed that too. But, I mean, I guess it's just probably gotten to a point where it's just for them, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? And like with the whole Portugal thing, well, I still think it is odd. Like their poster boy is about to retire. Like why would they spend any more money to try to do all this marketing with him when he's not even there anymore?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? That's the hard part. And so I think that there has to be something either on the horizon that we don't see, that they see, or maybe they're trying to cost cut that hard for profitability, but there has to, like, it's just such a strange and very drastic change that I can't just see somebody being like, "Nah, we're done with football. Like, we're done. We're not doing it anymore." Like, there has to be something going on, or they're gearing up for something.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's weird that this topic is coming up, actually, because I was listening to the Football Boot Hour with our buddies James and Andrew, and this question came up on there. And the question was, I wish I remember who asked it. It might have been Proper Boots, but they were asking, why did the Italian boots, like Italian market boots, die off in the late 2000s? Mm-hmm. And they were talking about how like Nike and just the money and the marketing and, like you said, like the house that they built. It's almost like they crowded out everybody else. Like there was just like almost like monopolize the space. If you weren't like Adidas or Puma, like you're getting pushed out. And so after they've gotten all this ground, it makes me wonder, like with these companies like Under Armour and New Balance and Skechers now entering the market, like if they're ceding ground, are we going to see these companies start to gain more players, gain more influence in the football market?
I mean, it's definitely a huge possibility. I think that the reason, with Proper Boots' question was, I think, okay, Nike invested a lot in marketing, and Nike is very good at, like, even if it's complete nonsense, they're good at making you agree and kind of believe the way they do. So, like, at that time, leather was king, black boots were king. Nike comes in and it's like, actually, synthetics are way better than leather. And at the time, remember, those synthetics were pretty awful. And people are like, okay, like, we'll try them. They're like, they're lighter, they're faster, everything's better about them. So everybody's like, okay. And they're like, and bright boots are way cooler than black boots. And so everybody's like, okay. So then people start getting into the bright colorways, and I got to have the lightest boot possible. And I think that's where Adidas was smart, was they recognized that. They changed the F50. They made the lightest boot ever made, blah, blah, blah. And they kind of went back and forth. But the Italian brands were like, no, like, we know this is true. Like, we know leather is better, kangaroo leather. And I think that people were just kind of like, well, Diadora, you have a black leather boot with a white Diadora logo, or you have a black Diadora boot with a green Diadora logo. Like, you're not really giving me a lot of options.
Right.
And, Nike's like, here's every color under the sun. And then, in 2014, same thing. They're like, okay, actually synthetics aren't the best. Knit boots are the best. We made knit. Let's do some knit. So then every brand is like, okay, let's do knit. And now Nike's kind of like, we don't really like knits. We like synthetics again. And everybody's starting to go back to synthetics again. So Nike, they're just these masterminds, and they are these trendsetters. And either they're just running out of, maybe they're just running out of steam. Maybe they're just like, we're tired. Like, we don't want to do anything right now. We just kind of want to rest on our laurels, kind of regroup, and then we'll come back. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's just a weird time. It's a weird time in the boot market. And I am curious to see because I do know that the Under Armour Shadow Pro 2 is very loved by a lot of people. Like our friend Footloose loves it. Noah seems to like it. A couple other people like Julio, I think, like it. I'm pretty sure Ricky liked it too. If they can figure out the Magnetico, I think they'll be, honestly, I think that they could be up there with like New Balance. 2 really good boots, 2 really good silos that people like. I think Adidas is doing everything right, so they don't have anything to worry about. But yeah, I mean, I don't think Nike's ever going to go away, but part of me, like, what if they went down to just the Premier? Like, that was the only boot they made.
Well, no, see, they should do that would be so funny. They should just do the Vapor. Like, if they were really wanting to, like, pull and, like, just, I mean, especially this Vapor, because it's sort of, like, been dubbed, again, football boot hour, the everyman boot, right? And so, like, if you're going to make, like, your best model and your most accommodating Vapor to date, then just cut it to that. If you really want to cut everything out, just do that. Focus on that. Kind of regain whatever, I guess, direction for the company you want to go in this space, if you still want to be in the space. Which, I mean, and I'm not completely saying that they're going to cede all the ground. Like, we saw them make a huge purchase for. What was it? The German national team jersey. So they are making waves in certain spaces. So they seem to, kind of want some things, or to keep their foot in the door in some things. So yeah, like that would honestly be their best bet, or just to keep it to the Vapor and whatever the GX, / control boot's going to be.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see. Only time will tell what Nike's going to end up doing, man. That's a good one. Now, we do have one of our good friends. He messaged us privately and was basically like, hey, I want you to rank the Tiempos, like basically from like best to worst. And I think he wanted to mainly start with the 5. We're going to say the 5 because I feel like that's kind of where the modern Tiempo. The 4 is arguable, but, it's its own beast. So starting from the 5 to the current Tiempo. Actually, go. Yeah. Let's start worst, and we'll go best.
Worst to best.
Yeah. Let's do worst. So I'm gonna say worst. I think we both agree. The 10.
10.
10's booty
Yeah,
cheeks.
definitely 10.
10,
Yeah,
10 is
10's
not good.
Yeah, 10's the worst. Oh man, this is tough.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is like choosing between your kids. Yeah, 10's the worst. I never had the 6, so I'm gonna put 6 the next worst.
Okay, I'm going to put. Ooh, this is really hard. I think I might say on the moment that the 7 is probably my least favorite.
Oh
currently.
man, so that 7's so good.
I know the
It's
7
like the
is
first
good,
one.
but it's not my favorite. And I told you it's mainly because a lot of the colorways I think are so bad.
Yeah. I like the paint, the orange paint, and the World Cup. Those are the two good colorways for
Okay.
the 7.
Yeah, so you got 6 at 4. I've got 7 at 4. What is your middle of the pack?
I'm gonna go with the 9. Actually,
Same. I'm also going to go with
Yeah.
the 9. I think it's a decent boot. And I think the reason I put it at the middle of the pack is that's kind of what it is. It's jack of all trades. It didn't do anything
right.
fantastic, but it didn't do anything really that terrible either.
Right. Yeah. It kind of is a true successor to the 7 if you want to like skip the 8 and say that the 8 was, too technologically advanced or whatever. It hits for some people, it doesn't hit for others. But I still prefer the 7. So I'm gonna put the 9 in the middle.
Okay, the 9, and then what's your next one? You've got
it's tough.
7, 5, and 8 left.
I'm gonna put the 8 here.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the 8 here. Yep.
I also agree. I will put the 8 as well. Again, over-engineered boot. We've talked about this 1,000 times, but a phenomenal boot.
Yes, and fantastically responsive, comfortable, like all the things. It's just not like a one-to-one leather feel if you're looking for that in a Tiempo.
For sure. And then second place for you, I'm assuming, is going to be the 7.
Yes.
You have the 7 there. I'm going to actually put the 5. I like the 5, but it's just on that border of like a little too old school for me. I know that you have a massive rager for it right now, and it is a phenomenal boot. But again, just kind of kind of boring in a way, as sacrilegious as that is to say. So then 5 is your number 1, and my number 1.
5 is number 1.
My number 1 was
the
6.
Best. It's the best. Yeah. I need to try a 6.
I loved the 6. The 6 was like the 5, a little bit lighter, a little bit thinner. But the caveat to both of those two boots, the 5 and the 6, is the FG, especially on the 6, durability is so ass. The 6 is one of the most notorious boots for the sole just peeling off, just like the Hypervenom 1. I don't know what glue Nike was using at that time.
I wonder if that's why they went with the hyper stability on the 7, because it's one of the best Tiempo sole plate. I don't want to say of like the whole, because they're just different. They're different feels, right? But it's such a good sole plate.
Yeah.
It's like the best modern Tiempo sole plate.
I agree.
It's better than the 9.
I do.
It's better than
I
the
do
9.
like the 7s, and then my special winner that would be better than all of them actually to me would be the MI. I would put that even above the 6.
Oh.
The MI did everything right.
Yeah. MI's perfect. Yeah. MI is like one of the perfect boots, and it could, because like it's not a true 9. It's a 9 on the 7/8 sole plate with like just the best leather upper like of any Tiempo.
Yeah,
so good.
It's like to me, I always say it's like a 9B 9.5. It's just like a different version of the 9. But yeah, there we go. Yeah. That's how we're gonna rank them. I said 5, but it's technically 6 boots, maybe 7. But yeah, that's where we're going to end with it today. So, Colby, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Kicking with Colbs on YouTube and on Instagram.
You can find me at Texas Cleat Collector on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You can find us at the Bootcast Pod. At Bootcast Pod on Instagram. And as always, if you like what you've seen, go down, hit like, smash the subscribe. Oh, wait. Hit subscribe, smash the like button, leave us a comment. Tell us your ranking of your favorite Tiempos, least to best. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. And as always, until next week, guys, take care.